And you've got to do whatever they say. You are subject to the jurisdiction of Congress. So stop being a United States citizen. Now it's a completely different class, but we'll get around to it. Fifth Amendment. When everybody says, I plead the Fifth, okay, they're talking about one line in this amendment. You look at that entire paragraph. Is that, I plead the Fifth? No. There's a lot of stuff here. You have a lot of rights. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment by a grand jury. Only people on the grand jury can indict you. The government can't come along and throw you in jail for anything you want. You have to have other Texans who said, yeah, that sounds pretty bad. Unless, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. So do soldiers and sailors have a right to all this other stuff? No. If you're a soldier or a sailor, you don't have a right to a trial. You go to a court-martial, which is completely different. You have no rights. If you're in the militia, when in actual service, you're acting as a soldier. So you get court-martialed too. Now, nor shall any person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. They can't hold you on the same thing. You know, they accuse you of murder, you know, they accuse you of killing John, and, you know, John shows up alive. Well, you know, you didn't do it. They can't accuse you of it again. That was what the whole movie Double Jeopardy was all about. Really good theory. Now, nor be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. That's the Fifth that everybody remembers. But it also says, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. They can't take all your stuff away from you and say, okay, we're going to take you to court. How are you going to defend yourself? You have to have due process of law. What? Admiralty jurisdiction?
They do this with administrative law all the time.
That's right. It's all administrative law. It's statutes. It's under the UCC. It has nothing to do with the Constitution. A lot of people go into court and they say, Your Honor, I've got my constitutional rights. And the judge says, don't let me hear you talk about the Constitution again. What's the matter? I thought this was the United States. No, not the United States that you're thinking of. Sorry. You lose. Because you didn't know the game. You're standing on a baseball diamond going, touchdown. They go, we don't know what you're talking about. They've pulled a fast switch on you. You've got to learn the law. You've got to know your rights. You've got to know where you stand. And your citizenship is a lot to do with where you stand. Finally, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Great. Who gets to decide what's just?
They do.
Jury.
Maybe a jury. That might help. But they can't just come in because the freeway's coming through and take your farm.
We're going to find that out every day.
We're about to find out.
I'd like to keep it.
This happened during the Revolutionary War. They came and took votes from private citizens
Yeah.
to be used to move the army across, and so the citizens were saying, we don't want this to happen again.
Right.
Let's be compensated for that.
Right. Okay? It's all based on property. Private property.
Who does decide what's just?
What's that?
Who does decide what's just?
Well, the Constitution doesn't specify, does it? So it's kind of like a little loophole. Wait till we get to the Eighth Amendment. The Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. Why is a public trial important?
Star chambers.
Yeah, we don't want to drag you off into a dark thing. Oh, he ended up dead. He was guilty. Really? What happened? What did he? Well, it was his secret. You don't want to see that. Okay? They used to do that. They still do that if you ever have a run-in with the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 3 kids in jail in Austin who were in jail because one guy confessed with a gun to his head. Oh boy. No star chambers? Not in the United States. Could never happen here. Wake up! In all criminal prosecutions, it's going to be a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed. So that you can't do something here and have them drag you off somewhere else. In the Declaration of Independence, it says that the king has transported them beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. You know, the tax collector would say something here, they would take you to England and you'd stand trial. Do you have any friends in England? You have your lawyer over there? You're all by yourself. It's really hard to defend yourself halfway across, around the world. So the idea is, wherever the crime is, that's where it stays. So the government can't drag you off someplace else. That way, and the truth of the matter is that you were from there. You never really traveled far from your house. If you were a farmer, this is where you would have been. That's where the crime presumably would have committed. So this is supposedly allowing you to stay in your own county.
Put on the bay.
Darn good question.
Yeah,
Timothy McVeigh, Oklahoma, Denver.
right. Same thing. But if we don't know what the Constitution says, we can't complain.
There was another thing that they proposed with the prove that those cops dragged that black gentleman behind his car for 5 miles. Yeah.
Jasper?
Took him someplace else, didn't they, in trial?
No.
They took him out of Jasper, didn't they?
Now, I think one of the things that happens is they accuse you of a federal crime. Well, if it's a federal crime, it's basically the United States. Anywhere in the United States is appropriate as far as they are concerned. But it's certainly not in the spirit of the Sixth Amendment, is it? And to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation. This is very important. What is the nature and cause of the accusation? If you get pulled over and the police officer says, "I'm stopping you for speeding," that's the cause. If you go to court, and I'm learning this very quickly, they have cause numbers. Okay? And so that's the cause, speeding. What's the nature?
Criminal or civil?
Whether it is criminal or civil, you have to know which court you're in. You got rules of criminal procedure and rules of civil procedure. You got to know which rules they are. They've got to tell you. And to be confronted with the witnesses against you. That way I can't whisper to Mike over here and say, "Oh, gosh, these guys are doing it," and have them arrest you. Or, "Really, who said so?" "Oh, a friend of ours. It's a secret." You can't do that. You have to be able to look the person in the eye and have that person say, "Yeah, you're the one that did it," so that you know who you're fighting against. You also have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in your favor. If there were innocent bystanders on the street corner and they saw you being attacked first and you were just doing self-defense, you can force them, you can give them a subpoena, and they have to show up. Now, they'd rather be out fishing, but what if you were the one? What if you're the one being accused and there were other people, and I was standing there on the street corner and go, "Hey, it's your problem, not mine." Wouldn't you want to be able to, force me into court?